Imagine someone you trusted deeply suddenly disappears from your life. Not with a fight, not with a warning, but with a quiet, unshakable sense of finality. That is exactly what a narcissist does when they are finished. And here is the unsettling part. It is not about you. It is about the last thing you did that challenged their control. You might think they will return, that they will change, or that you can repair it. But once they cross this line, it becomes permanent. They are done for good. And understanding why this happens is your first step toward freedom. If this feels familiar, pause for a moment. Reflect on the relationships where you have felt drained or controlled. Ask yourself, have you crossed that line yet? Are you ready to take back your energy and your life? Imagine the moment when someone you thought you understood completely, the person who thrived on your attention, your approval, your energy, suddenly pulls away and disappears. That sudden absence is the cold shock of a narcissist being done with you. Unlike normal breakups or disagreements, it does not unfold gradually with arguments or hints. It is sudden, almost precise in how it happens. This act is not about what you did wrong. It is about the one thing you finally did that they could not accept. You reclaimed your independence. Narcissists are built on control, on reshaping reality to suit their needs, and on keeping you within a predictable emotional cycle. The moment you refuse to revolve around their world, to stop feeding their ego, to stop tolerating their manipulation, or to set clear boundaries, you trigger a reaction they cannot manage calmly. Their sudden withdrawal is their way of regaining control. It is a defense mechanism hidden behind indifference. They are signaling in the coldest way possible that the relationship has reached its limit for them. Their leaving is not about closure, not about explaining themselves, and certainly not about your worth. It is a reflection of their inability to deal with equality or resistance. For the person on the receiving end, this can feel like a betrayal on a massive scale. One moment they are invested, and the next they are gone. This shock is intentionally disorienting. Narcissists thrive on leaving confusion behind them, but this moment, as unsettling as it feels, is also revealing. It exposes the truth about their motives and clarifies your place in the relationship. Recognizing this act for what it truly is, the sudden decision to leave in response to your boundaries, is the first step toward understanding the dynamics at play and beginning to take back your emotional power in a world that no longer needs their approval. The ultimate betrayal by a narcissist does not come through obvious insults or open arguments. It comes when they discard you after you finally set boundaries or refuse to be controlled. For years, they may have drawn energy from your compliance, your emotional effort, and your willingness to put their needs first. You may have tolerated manipulation, gaslighting, or subtle disrespect, all while believing that love or loyalty could close the gap. But the moment you stop accommodating their endless demands, the moment you assert your limits, they feel betrayed. Not because you did something wrong, but because you no longer exist in the role they created for you. This betrayal feels personal to them because their identity depends on being the center of your world. Unlike ordinary betrayals, this one is calculated. They often try to rewrite the story, claiming that you were difficult, unreasonable, or overreacting. Their version of events may try to make you feel guilty or question your judgment, but it cannot change the fact that they chose to walk away. What makes it so painful is that their departure often comes without explanation, without remorse, and without acknowledging the years of trust and effort you invested in them. Their betrayal is complete and intentional. It is designed to maintain dominance even in leaving. For the person on the receiving end, this act can feel like a complete invalidation of everything they gave. You may replay memories wondering if you misunderstood the relationship or could have done something differently. But the truth is clear. The betrayal is not about you failing them. It is about them failing themselves by exposing their inability to handle equality, respect, and boundaries. Understanding this is essential. Once you see the ultimate betrayal for what it truly is, a narcissist's refusal to tolerate your independence, you regain clarity. It is painful, yes, but it is also a turning point. The moment you realize that their leaving, though shocking, creates space for your own healing and self-respect. Once a narcissist has made the decision to leave, there is almost never a way back. This is not like ordinary conflicts where time, apologies, or compromises can repair the damage. Narcissists operate on control, and once that control is broken, once they see that you can no longer be manipulated or pressured, their choice to leave becomes absolute. Their leaving is not temporary and it is not negotiable. They cannot handle a relationship in which their power is reduced because it threatens the foundation of how they see themselves. This no turning point often comes with a deceptive calm. They may not lash out or confront you directly. Instead, they detach emotionally, disappear from your life, or stop all communication. To an outsider, it may seem passive or even kind, but it is far from that. It is a deliberate and calculated act that signals the end of their involvement in the relationship. There is no space for reconciliation, because the moment you asserted your boundaries or refused to comply, the dynamic shifted permanently. They are done, and their mindset cannot accept going back. For those left behind, the finality can be overwhelming. You may hope for calls, messages, or attempts at repair, but these are rare and often manipulative rather than sincere. Their exit is complete because in the narcissist's mind, maintaining contact with someone who refuses to be controlled weakens their self-image and authority. Understanding this reality is important. Their departure is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but of their limitations. Accepting that there is no turning back allows you to stop waiting for an apology or change that will never come, and it frees you to invest your energy in relationships where respect, equality, and mutual care truly exist. The clarity that comes from recognizing this irreversible step is painful, but it is also empowering. It marks the end of confusion and the beginning of your freedom. When a narcissist reaches the point of being done with you, it is often accompanied by an emotional surge that you may not fully understand at first. This is not about genuine sadness or remorse. It is a sudden rise of emotions, anger, frustration, or even quiet panic that reflects their internal alarm at losing control. Narcissists are skilled at maintaining composure, projecting confidence, and managing appearances. But when their dominance is challenged, that carefully built image can crack. The emotional surge is their internal system reacting to the loss of power they depended on for years, and it can appear in unpredictable ways: cold detachment, silent treatment, sudden anger, or attempts to make you feel guilty and return to the old pattern. This reaction is not about fixing the relationship. It is aimed at regaining control, creating doubt, and testing whether they can still influence you. The more you resist, the more intense this surge may feel from the outside. But internally, it is driven by fear, the fear of losing you as a source of validation, losing admiration, and losing the sense of control that supports their identity. Their emotions may feel overwhelming or suffocating to you, but they mostly reflect their own instability, not your actions. For the person on the receiving end, witnessing this emotional surge can be confusing and even unsettling. It can create moments of self-doubt, making you question whether you caused this reaction or can fix it. The key insight here is understanding that this emotional reaction is the narcissist's response to a boundary you set or a refusal to comply, not a genuine attempt at growth or repair. Recognizing it as a fear-driven reaction allows you to step back and maintain your clarity and emotional balance. When you see the surge for what it is, a panic-based response to losing control, you can navigate the situation without being pulled back into their manipulative cycle, protecting your independence and peace of mind. One of the most confusing behaviors of a narcissist who is done with you is their quiet indifference. Unlike loud arguments or direct confrontations, this stage is silent, cold, and intentional. They withdraw without explanation, stop engaging emotionally, and treat your presence or absence as if it does not matter. For someone who was used to constant attention, manipulation, or even dramatic reactions, this sudden emptiness can feel like a punishment far harsher than anger. Quiet indifference is their ultimate tool of control. It communicates that the relationship no longer serves them while leaving you to deal with uncertainty and confusion. This behavior is rooted in their fear of losing influence. Narcissists rely on emotional reactions to maintain a sense of superiority. And when you stop reacting to their behavior, they feel powerless. Instead of trying to fix the dynamic, they retreat, using silence to assert control indirectly. Their detachment is not about fairness, resolution, or reflection. It is a calculated way to show that they are no longer invested and that they expect you to notice and possibly seek their attention. But the truth is, they do not want reconciliation. Their indifference is a wall that marks the limit of their involvement, one they are unwilling or unable to cross again. For the person on the receiving end, this quiet indifference can be emotionally draining. It triggers overthinking, self-doubt, and sometimes repeated attempts to understand what went wrong. Recognizing this behavior for what it truly is, a narcissist's final controlled step of disengagement, is essential for regaining your emotional stability. Their silence reflects their inability to accept autonomy and your refusal to be used for their ego, not your worth. Understanding this helps you stop chasing answers, stop waiting for apologies, and start redirecting your energy toward your own healing and freedom, away from their manipulative patterns. After a narcissist decides they are done with you, one of the most confusing patterns you may face is the gaslighting aftermath. Even in their absence, they may try to control the story of your relationship, making you question your memory, your judgment, or your perception of events. You may hear partial truths, distorted versions, or direct lies designed to make you feel responsible for their leaving. This is not about clarity. It is a final attempt to control your thoughts and emotions. By creating doubt, they try to pull you back into their influence emotionally, even after they have left physically. Gaslighting in this situation is especially harmful because it uses the emotional connection you already built. Narcissists understand your vulnerabilities. They know which memories, fears, or insecurities they can use. When they apply this tactic after cutting ties, it is a last effort to maintain dominance without direct involvement. The aftermath of this manipulation can leave you feeling confused, second guessing yourself, and replaying events repeatedly, wondering if you caused their departure. But the truth remains simple. Their attempt to change the story is about control, not about you. For the person on the receiving end, recognizing this gaslighting aftermath is vital for recovery. Understanding that these distortions are a narcissist's tool, not your reality, allows you to take back your narrative. You can choose to trust your own memory, your own perspective, and your own judgment. When you see this behavior for what it is, a final manipulation rather than a reflection of your worth, you free yourself from the confusion and doubt they try to create. In doing so, you protect your emotional boundaries, gain clarity, and strengthen your independence, leaving no room for their influence to continue. A narcissist often becomes completely done when they sense that you are no longer an easy source of emotional supply. This is what can be called a self-protection trigger. Narcissists depend on control, attention, and validation, and they are highly aware of any change that threatens their dominance. The moment they notice that you are setting boundaries, focusing on your needs, or refusing to follow their demands, their internal alarm activates. They feel exposed, vulnerable, and most importantly, powerless. To protect their ego and maintain the illusion of superiority, they choose to withdraw completely rather than face compromise or reflection. This reaction is deeply connected to fear. Narcissists fear being seen clearly for who they are because it weakens the image they present to the world. When you step away from their influence and stop feeding their control, they sense a threat to that image. The self-protection trigger becomes their way of coping. Instead of facing accountability or equality, they remove the source of the threat, you. Their withdrawal is fast, decisive, and often permanent because it allows them to protect their fragile identity without confronting their own behavior or limitations. For those left behind, this can feel confusing and unfair. You may have given everything, yet their exit is final. Understanding this self-protection trigger is empowering because it changes how you see their behavior. Their leaving is not about your value or your actions, but about their inability to handle honesty, independence, and boundaries. Recognizing this pattern helps you stop blaming yourself and start focusing on your own growth and well-being. It also gives you clarity that when a narcissist is done, it is about their survival instincts, not a judgment of your worth or the love you offered. The final and most important part of understanding a narcissist being done with you is the freedom it brings. When a narcissist leaves your life completely, it can feel shocking, painful, and confusing, but it is also a turning point. Their departure marks the end of manipulation, gaslighting, and control, creating space for you to regain your emotional independence. You no longer have to manage the constant pressure between their needs and yours. No longer have to question your reality or silence your instincts to keep peace. This moment, as difficult as it feels, allows you to choose yourself without guilt or fear. Freedom comes from seeing the truth clearly. You realize that their leaving is not a reflection of your value or your love, but of their inability to accept boundaries and equality. This understanding is powerful. It releases you from the cycle of confusion, hope, and disappointment that defined the relationship. Instead of being pulled into their patterns or trying to fix what cannot be fixed, you can direct your energy toward your healing, your growth, and relationships built on mutual respect. Every moment you spend letting go of what was lost becomes an opportunity to create a life defined by your own choices, not theirs. The freedom you gain is both emotional and mental. You begin to trust your instincts again, reclaim your voice, and understand that you deserve consistency, respect, and care, things a narcissist could not provide. While their departure may hurt at first, it is also a gift. The clarity it brings allows you to close one chapter and step fully into the next, one where your well-being is no longer negotiable. Embracing this freedom transforms the experience from loss into strength, marking the end of their influence and the start of your self-directed life. In the end, when a narcissist is done with you, it is absolute and final. Their leaving is not about your worth, your effort, or the love you gave. It is about their inability to handle boundaries, equality, and independence. Understanding their patterns, the sudden withdrawal, the quiet indifference, the emotional surges, and even the gaslighting aftermath gives you clarity and perspective. It helps you stop questioning yourself, stop waiting for apologies that will never come, and stop getting pulled back into their control. What once felt like a painful loss becomes a moment of freedom. Their departure creates space for you to reclaim your emotional strength, your self-respect, and your life on your own terms. You are no longer trapped in their manipulation, and you are free to invest in relationships that value your boundaries and your worth. Recognizing that when a narcissist is done, they are truly done allows you to close that chapter completely. And in that closure lies your freedom, the chance to heal, grow, and move forward without the weight of their influence. Ultimately, their exit, as painful as it feels, is not a reflection of your failure, but a revelation of their limits. Accept it, learn from it, and let it guide you toward a life shaped by your own strength, clarity, and peace.